Hey, what's happening, Facebook? What's going on? It's Nick here, and it's Monday morning, and I thought I would hop on. Uh, we've got the Mevo going, so let's hop on and talk, right? I just want to get 1 second going here. Let me make sure that we are streaming well. Hop over here to the Facebook page, make sure things are going good. Get the cameras lined up. What network am I connected to? So, how's the weekend? Everybody doing good? Good. Hey, I'm excited. I am excited. Holiday times are here. We're just hanging out, having a good time. Right. Let me just share this on the profile here real quick. So yeah, you guys have this Mevo yet? I'm telling you, you gotta get it. Kill. I gotta get rid of all these pages. All right. Let me see. Sorry guys. Got some issues with Chrome here. Issues with Chrome. We're gonna fix soon here. Let me. There's somebody watching. Hey, sorry. Just getting things moving here. I'm sorry. I've got some issues with Chrome. I want to get this. I want to get this shared out there. But today I really want to talk about, commodities and what does that mean for your business and how we can avoid being a commodity, right? Because I think there's I think there's something to be said about that, right? So let me just share this out there. Page manage, share it on this page. All right, we are sharing. So I want to talk about commodities and what does that mean for us as a business. And I work with a lot of service businesses, especially real estate agents. And what does it? What does it mean? What is a commodity, right? A commodity by definition. Here it is: a raw material or primary agricultural product that can be bought and sold, such as coffee or copper. So that is the quick definition of commodity, right? Something that can be bought and sold, and has a use, has some value, right? And that's kind of what I think about when we kind of talk about these businesses, right? I think people struggle with this a lot, especially in a lot of the industries that we look at. Like I work with real estate agents often. I actually have some experience in the industry, so it just kind of makes sense that I help these people out. One of the things that I see them struggle with a lot is real estate agents are just a commodity, just like coffee, just like copper, just like coal and oil. And it's come to the point where, it's a commoditized industry, right? The field of, if we look at real estate, the field is just becoming a commodity. How then can a real estate agent push themselves away and not be a commodity? The question was posed here is real property itself not a commodity? Yeah, so real property is a commodity, but agents themselves are being seen as a commodity. There's way too many of them, right? The barrier to entry is low, and it's just increasingly like, hey, well, if you're not going to get it at this price, I'm going to go to somebody else and who will give it to me, and sell my house at this price. I mean, look, we've got discount brokers, right? That'll discount down to 1% listing fees. We've got flat rate listings where you can, where people can go and list their house for, $500, and it gets them the MLS on the Zillows and Realtor.com. It gives them that exposure that everyone else will give them, right? And then you've got all those commission-cutting real estate agents. Man, those are the worst, right? Those agents that buy the listings. And then we've got those agents that buy the listings too, right? And let's not forget about, Redfin. And some of these other brokerages that are just like, hey, you sell your house with us, or you buy a house with us, we'll sell your house for free kind of stuff. And it's just, it becomes like a race to the bottom almost, right? Who's gonna charge the least and still provide some service? In the end, that's what we want, right? We want some. We just want to sell a house, right? They just want to sell a house. They just want to buy a house. So how do we change that as kind of as a mindset? How do we get past that thought process of, hey, look at me, and still get top commission value, and not cut our prices, not worry about discount brokers, not worry about flat rate listings, not worry about these commission cutters, these people that are everywhere. How do we become that authority, and not just cut commissions ourselves, right? So how do we get the listing and not have to cut our commission? I guess that's the question that I want to pose, and I think a lot of it can be narrowed down to this. Everyone today. So this is a quote from the Dan Sullivan question. If you're not familiar with the book, he poses just one question. He poses this question: if you're not, where do you want to be in 3 years? How do you want this to look like? Essentially, he creates these open-ended questions that allow people to sell themselves. But this is you can look this up. But here's the quote. Everyone today is competing with everyone else to have the cleverest, most persuasive answer. So in a world where everyone is competing with their answers, how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? I know what you're saying. I've seen this before. People will say to me, "But Nick, I'm a mega multi-million-dollar rock star producer agent, right?" And I say to them, "Yeah, and okay, or hey, I received the President's Sales Award 3 years in a row. Yeah, and so did everybody else that met the minimum requirements and paid for it, right?" So these are kind of these are things I hear and I'm talking about, and I want to be clear. This is not about cool tools, right? So you can have the coolest apps, you can have the sweetest websites, you can have awesome tools to make things easier. Oh, we've got these cool tools to make these things easier. But it's not about that, or it's not about having a sweet app, a lead capture system. Really, the question is, how do you build perceived value and set yourself apart when buyers and sellers treat you like a commodity, with little real difference between you and the other guy, right? And I think it starts with understanding you, and it starts with understanding your customer, and understanding not just your customer, like which size shoes do they wear, how much money do they make, but more about about them. What is their desired outcome, and how can we help them get there, right? People don't buy products and services, they buy the outcome. They buy access to this after stage, right? And it's that transformation that you help them with that they're buying, right? That's what they're paying you for. That's what you're getting paid for, is to help them move them from where they are now into that after stage, right? So, and it's kind of a, I thought I had my stuff hooked up. I was gonna pop you over there, but so it's kind of we use this like before and after chart, and I'll post a link to this. I'll post a picture in the comments below of what this before and after chart looks like. I'll just post it in the comments now here, so you can see. Oh, it's not going to let me add a photo, so I'll post that later. But we ask these questions, 8 questions that we ask when we start working with a client to help them really get their messaging right, because that messaging and how you articulate what you do, that how you articulate the that path, the before, the after, is really so key into differentiating yourself and standing out as the leader, as someone that understands what they want, right? So you understand what they want. You understand, how to get in there, right? You're an expert at negotiation. You're an expert at, getting them the right price. You're an expert at this, that, and the other. But that's not necessarily how they want to see you, right? So let me run off these 8 questions that we ask. So what does your prospect have in the before state? So what do they have, right? So they've got a problem. A, they've got a house to sell, right? Or they've got a need for to buy a house, right? So, and then what does your prospect have after? So after they have a sold house, or they've and probably have a new home too, right? And I think this is where you're going to see a lot of agents just kind of drop off in their thinking, in the way that they talk about what they do. But the next thing is, the next questions we ask, the next 2 questions, how do they feel in their before state, and how do they feel in the after state? So I hope you're writing these down, because I think they're really going to help you. So write this down. How do they feel before? I'm guessing that they feel like, hey, I've got something to sell. I need to get this house sold. Depending on who you're targeting, whether you're targeting empty nesters, right? If you're targeting empty nesters, what are they going to look like? If you're targeting divorce attorneys, if you're working with divorce attorneys, how do you speak to the divorcees? Hey, you've got this asset we need to liquidate, right? Perhaps you're working with estate planners, and you're dealing with helping families move on after something's happened to their loved one, and you're helping liquidate that asset too. These feelings are going to be different depending on who you're talking to, right? So how do they feel before, and then how do they feel after, right? If we look at those people that are dealing with an estate, before, they feel overwhelmed, right? They've got this huge asset. They don't know really what to do. They don't know how to get rid of it. They just know they need someone to sell a house, right? And they need to find someone they can trust to get them the best value, the best money for it, right? And to get it done quickly, so they can move on and settle the estate and everything like that. And then how do they feel after? Well, I'm gonna guess they're probably gonna feel relieved, right? After you've sold their house, after they've worked with you, they're gonna feel relieved, and they're gonna feel like there's a big weight off their shoulders. So then the next questions we ask are, what is the average day like in your prospect before state, and what is the average day like in your prospect in the after state? Going back to that estate plan, working with people and helping settle estates, you've got people that have their regular day life, their jobs, their family, those functions, but then also are dealing with, having to deal with this estate stuff, right? And grief, and they've got all this, mixed emotions and stuff like that, and that's what they're doing with their day. So their day is consumed with extra things, and essentially, afterwards, right? Their average day, what does that look like? Well, they've still got their work, their family, and that stuff going on. But now they don't have to worry about settling this estate. Now they've got less time involved in that. So now they're getting, their days back to normal. And then status. Status before, and what is their status like after? One of the examples I like to use to get real estate agents thinking is, okay, think of someone that's been renting, and they've just purchased their first time home. So if you're working with first time home buyers and targeting them, this is great too. Their status before, well, hey, we're renting. We don't really have much of an asset. We don't have anything stable, right? But, then they look at now that they've purchased a home, now that they moved in, now we're homeowners. Now we have, community around us that is also homeowners. So now we are actually, now we've got that status, right? So, as you're going through your marketing and, kind of discussing that, and thinking, how can I reach these things? I want you to kind of set up one of these before and after grids, and I'll post the link below. And ask these questions to everyone that you are talking, everyone that you're talking to. Every time you do a marketing campaign, every time you sit down and say, hey, I want to, create a campaign that targets sellers of this status, right? So if I'm, if I want to reach, homeowners that are, in a $300,000 to $500,000 house, you're going to speak to them differently than you are the people that own a $150,000 house, right? You're also going to speak to first-time home buyers differently than you are, someone that's, owned multiple homes, right? So every time you create this, every time you create a campaign and you think about who you're targeting, ask these 8 questions, because they're crucial, and they'll really help you articulate the value that you provide, right? And they'll help you stand out more and as not just another commodity. I was reading, we get a local paper. I don't know how many people get a local paper. We get something here in Stowe called the Stowe Century. And it's one of those things where a lot of agents advertise in. And I always love the holiday times. Hey, we wish you a Merry Christmas. Let me sell your house. And you'll get an entire page of this, right? Happy holidays. Let me sell your house. Happy holidays. Moving, call me. So, it goes back to that question. If everybody's given the same answer, how do you make yours stand out, right? I guess let me read that word for word again, right? Everyone today is competing with everyone else to have the cleverest, most persuasive answer. So in a world where everybody is competing with their answers, how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? So I'm going to leave you with that today. Think about these questions. How are you going to stand out? How are you going to articulate that transition that you help people make? These are essential to standing out and not being sucked into that commodity type mentality. You don't want to be a commodity. You don't want to be another discount broker, another flat rate listing. You don't want to be a commission cutting agent. And you shouldn't be, right? You provide value. And if you're, if you're like the agents I work with, I know that you help people, and I know that you do so much more. So, start asking these 8 questions every time you, create a marketing campaign. Stop advertising in the newspapers and start building your digital marketing that reaches those targeted people, so you can, articulate that message and help them understand that transition. All right. Thanks for joining me today. And I welcome any feedback, any questions, any comments in the comments below. I will link to that image. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. Hey, thanks for joining me. Bye now. I tried to make it stop. It didn't stop. Okay, bye. Nope. Not yet.